So now you've got your image, and it's time to make sure that it works with the text that's in the document or the other content like the Smarter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to take this first one where I remove the background and delete it. So I just have the one image. I'm then going to take this picture and I'm going to size it down to be a little bit smaller here using the bounding box features. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to adjust the text wrapping to be tight and then move this picture down to the left of this first paragraph. So I'd like you to adjust the text wrapping to be tight and move the paragraph down to the left of the first paragraph. So pause the video here and see if you can do that. So to adjust text wrapping again, we can go to the layout options to the right of the picture. There's actually a wrap text option now up in the ribbon as well, and we're looking to apply the tight text wrapping. When we do that, automatically you'll see that the picture will be allowed to be to the left of the first paragraph, and then we can drag it around and the text will try and get as close to that teardrop as possible. You can even take your smart art and you can move it down a little bit, and now you've got text really wrapping around both pieces and interacting with the content. Something else I want to point out when we're clicking on these pictures and these smarts is there's this little anchor tool. This anchor tool gets selected when you select the paragraph that's associated with it. So for instance, you can see there's a little tiny anchor that appears when I select my smart art, and there's a little tiny anchor that appears when I select my picture. When I click in this paragraph and I triple click it, you can see that nothing gets selected for the picture. However, depending on where you're clicked and what you're doing, this anchor for this picture is actually selected on this paragraph right here that is blank. So if I turn on my show hide, there's a little blank paragraph right there. And if I select that paragraph and I actually go through, see here, I go through and I select multiple paragraphs, that anchor at some point is going to get selected, selecting the picture. So changes I make will also apply to the picture. It's important to note that if you don't want the picture selected, you can change this anchor. Like I can click over here and I can move this anchor down on the document. So that way now when I go to select those first few paragraphs, it's not getting selected. It will get selected whenever I select the paragraph that it's associated with, which happens to be this bottom paragraph here. So those anchors are super helpful when you're trying to figure out where a picture is being selected. And the anchor allows the document to know, okay, in relationship to this point on the document, here's where this picture should be placed. So it's keeping track of those features based off of the anchor point. So I just wanted to point that out with you. There's two more things I want to give out about the pictures and the smart arts and those kinds of things, and that's alt text. So on the picture format tab, there's actually an alt text option that is under accessibility. And you're going to see these things become more and more frequent inside of our documents and inside of our websites and those kinds of things, because we now have computers and phones being very used by massive amounts of people compared to how they were 5 years ago. And so alt text allows those who are hard of seeing to be able to actually know what the picture is if they can't see it. So when we click alt text, we can actually give a description, and you can see that automatically it's going to generate a description to help those who may be hard of seeing or blind. So I can change this to be like a plate of spaghetti, right? I can mark it as decorative as well to show that it's just adding visual interest but isn't super informative. Like maybe I added a border or something like that. That's really just not useful for screen readers to be able to read to those who are hard of seeing. So it's important to note that this alt text, although it's optional, it is also very useful. And actually now if you try and post things to like government websites or those kinds of things, like if for instance our website for education, OSPI, is a government website, and they had documents that were posted that didn't have alt text or accessibility features inside of them, and they actually got sued for not having it because they were a government entity and they were supposed to be providing that to their users. So it does come into play every once in a great while, and you still have a lot more people who are starting to use these types of features, and our document readers and our text readers for those who are hard of seeing are getting better and better every day. So by providing these types of things, you are actually adding a service to your document. And if you were to take web design, for instance, or digital design, you would be doing this inside of pictures on digital design too, to be able to make it accessible on websites. So I wanted to show that alt text as a feature because I think it's super important for you to be aware that they're becoming more and more frequent, that you should start using it. And actually Word's starting to generate things for you automatically. So that's how you can insert pictures and kind of adjust them around. The one last thing I want to show you on a picture is how to add a caption. So Captioning allows you to give more information to the reader, especially if they don't know what it is. And this happens a lot in business documents. Not only does captioning allow you to give more information to the reader, but actually allows you to tag the image, which makes it so that you can actually reference it, like figure 1 or figure 2 or table 1 or table 2. And those captions allow you to reference them inside of business documents. So when I click on the picture, I would like to see if you can add a caption to it. So pause the video here and see if you can add a caption. Captions are found two ways. You can right-click the picture and you can add a caption by inserting a caption. Captions are also found on the References tab. And I want you to think about, why are they on the References tab? We haven't really used it much. It's kind of interesting. It's a tab that gets ignored by a lot of people, but it's a super useful tab. So why would it be on the References tab? Well, a caption is something that the reader references, right? They reference the caption to see what's in the picture. So you'll notice the table of contents, footnotes, citations, those are all things that the reader is referencing constantly to get more information. So captions is actually a whole piece here. And you can see that insert table of figures is actually grayed out, because when you start using captions, you can then insert tables of figures to pull from them. So if I insert a caption here, it will automatically adjust to figure 1. I can change it to figure, equation, table. I can even add a new label, like if I wanted to add image. So I can go to new label here and I can type in my label of, instead of it being a figure, it can be an image. Click OK, and now it's adjusted to image 1. You don't want to touch this piece right here, the image 1 part. You don't want to delete it, because that's actually where Word is tagging it, just like we are with styles. And then that makes it so it can reference it later. So we can just type like a dash and then type plate of spaghetti or whatever your favorite food is, right? Then you can choose like where it's selected. So does it go below the image or above the image? I'm going to keep it below, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and it will insert a caption for me automatically. Now, if I take my picture and I move it, my caption doesn't go with it. But if I take my picture and I hold Shift on my keyboard, I can actually click on the text box at the same time, and then I can move them together and make them move together and adjust them as needed. So Shift allows you to add multiple shapes or objects together and be able to adjust them and move them around. And that's how you can work with pictures.